Hello, dear ones. Father Peter John, coming to you from All Saints Orthodox Church in Bloomington, Indiana. Christ is in our midst. We're talking today about step number 23 on the ladder of divine ascent by St. John Climacus. The title of this chapter is On Insane Pride. St. John begins, "Pride is denial of God, an invention of the devil, flight from divine assistance, the precursor of madness, the cause of falls, a foothold for satanic possession, a source of anger, a door of hypocrisy, the guardian of sins, the patron of pitilessness, the rejection of compassion, a bitter inquisitor, an inhuman judge, an opponent of God, and a root of blasphemy." Now, we all remember in the beginning that pride was the reason for man's fall in the garden, that God told Adam and Eve what to do, what they could eat, the one thing they shouldn't eat. And what did they do? Well, they received a temptation from the serpent, and they began to think that they knew better than God. And so, in their pride, remember I is at the beginning of pride, P-R-I-D-E, they thought, I know better. I will do what I want to do. I will do what I think is right. And we've been doing that ever since. And as we know, it gets us in a lot of trouble. St. John reminds us that God resists the proud. He tells us that an angel, i.e. the evil one, Lucifer, fell from heaven without any other passion except pride. And so we may ask whether it is possible to ascend to heaven by humility alone without any other of the virtues. That's a very hopeful statement from St. John. He also says, "A most learned elder spiritually admonished a proud or prideful brother. But he, the brother, in his blindness said, 'Forgive me, Father, I am not prideful.' The wise elder said to him, 'What clearer proof of this passion could you have given us, son, than to say, I am not prideful?'" Pride is very dangerous. People who believe that their way is the right way, that the kind of the my way or the highway approach, that they become stubborn and when corrected, find a way to try to convince everyone that their way, which has now been misproven or disproven, is still correct somehow, that they still are right. Or they'll try to divert the subject to bring up something else that will put down the brother who righteously corrected them in order to take away from their own embarrassment because they're full of pride. St. Anthony the Great was famous for saying, "Reject pride and consider everyone else more righteous than yourself." He also was very famous for saying, "I saw the snares of the evil one laying throughout the whole world, and I groaned and said, 'Who can pass by these snares?' And then I heard a voice that said, 'Humility.'" Brothers and sisters, they say that pride is the root of all evil, that pride comes before the fall. We know that pride is the reason for the first fall. It's the reason for the evil one's fall from heaven. Pride is something that we must struggle against. And we struggle against it by obedience. Obedience to the teachings of the church. Obedience to Christ in the Holy Scriptures, as interpreted by the church, as applied by our bishops, as encouraged by our priests. So I encourage each and every one of us, myself first, to remember the importance of humble obedience. The fathers of the church call it the greatest of the virtues, humble obedience, and it's the opposite of pride. Christ is in our midst. He is and ever shall be.